Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we chat with founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And I'm super excited today. We got something really cool lined up for you. And I got Arnelle in the studio. Arnelle, what's up?
Hey Duncan, what's up? And thanks everyone for tuning in to this latest episode of the Firebelly Social Show. This episode is brought to you today by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more.
And what we have lined up for you today is something very different. We're going to look at the year in review, and Arnelle and I are going to flip the switch, and we're going to have our friend and colleague, Dr. Jeremy Wise here from Rise 25. And listen, you guys, this guy has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. He's an amazing badass. He plays basketball and always prepared for basketball. He always wears shorts under his jeans just in case there's a pickup game. And so he's going to be interviewing us today. So with no further ado, Dr. J, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you sharing my utmost secrets right in the beginning of the interview. No, but I'm excited. The year in review, and I'm going to share my screen because we're going to go through some of the best guests you've had. I mean, all your guests are amazing, but some of the fan favorites, obviously. So if someone's listening to the audio, we are seeing there's a video portion of this, so you can watch it. And you can see we're at firebelly.com/podcast. So you can check out all episodes there and also obviously what they do. But we're going to go through some for this year. And the first one I wanted to talk about is this one, which is redefining kombucha. Kombucha is one of my favorite things. I spent 6 months brewing kombucha. So this one is near and dear to my heart by Jamba Dunn. So I'd love for you to talk about what was interesting and a takeaway or two from this one, from Jamba.
Arnelle, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I just want to start out by saying Jambo's super inspiring guy. He's super passionate about kombucha. And he really went out of his way to explain why Rowdy Mermaid embraces science-based innovations when it comes to kombucha.
I think what I really enjoyed about it is the man is not only just a gentle, wonderful human being, but a PhD in media philosophy. And their kombucha, Dr. J, has a lot of science behind it, like Arnelle said. And not only that, but they're staying ahead of the trend. They've launched a new product called the Feel Good soda, and the Good Mood soda, my bad. And it has 200 milligrams of ashwagandha, which, as you know, you guys know,
nice.
A lot of really great health benefits. And in fact, I'm a huge fan of that.
I remember researching ashwagandha. I'm like, this is like the magic, whatever you want to call it, supplement or something. So I'm going to have to try his kombucha. I love it. The next one that we have on here is High and Mighty. It's fueled by nostalgia and love. This is Dan and Jamie. And so I'd love to hear a few takeaways from High and Mighty and maybe a little bit about, what it is.
So High and Mighty, I'll go first, Arnelle. High and Mighty, one of the coolest things about them is the story starts in Italy, and it's a 3-person team, and Dan and Jamie Farner, husband and wife, are 2 out of the 3. And it's an Indianapolis-based company, and I've known these guys from back in the day at the coffee shop, and they've really built something amazing, ready-to-drink cocktails in a can, and it's they've teamed up with the State Fair, and they're doing things with massive universities. And so I think what I loved about them was just very celebratory people, very nice celebratory people.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're very innovative. They talked a lot about creative packaging and their different marketing strategies. So you definitely want to give this one a listen.
Love it. And so the next one we have here is making personalized nutrition accessible, right? People always say, if we don't have our health, what do we have, right? So Dr. Josh here really walked through making personalized nutrition accessible. And, obviously he's got a strong background in this. What are some things that people should check out with this episode?
Super cool episode with Dr. Josh. And, we're going to be doing another episode with him in the near future. He's one of the founding chief science officers with some leading personalized nutrition companies. And I think what's really interesting is that he has amassed a massive repository of information about how people are eating. And so I think that really is interesting in the work he's doing.
Yeah, I really love that he's making personal nutrition accessible for, not only brands, but also to individuals. And so he is really unique, really great guy to listen to, and really intelligent.
And it looks like, too, he talked a little bit about the role of AI in the personalized nutrition space, and that's hot. So that's also an interesting piece of this as well. We have Millie's Sipping Broth. Right. What I love about your podcast in general is I love health related things, and all these things make me want to go out and watch these and actually try the products too. But we have Millie's Sipping Broth, right? And with Lance here. And I'd love to hear a few things about Lance and the sipping broth.
So Lance is just such a cool guy and really came up with the product based on his wife's needs. She's a teacher and rushing from class to class, didn't have time to stop for lunch. And so, was hungry, and he came up with this basically soup in a tea bag kind of thing. And it is a hot favorite among us at Firebelly. Abby, my colleague, and myself consume it voraciously. And so it's just such a cool idea. It brings extra in a cup. And so it's just very inspirational.
What I also loved about this episode is that he talked a lot about the importance of building relationships with customers, which is super important. And not all the time is it, the CPG owner thinking about it on such a individualized space, but he really does that. He's all about, changing the way people work and how they consume, lunch at work specifically. So it's a very interesting episode. Definitely give that one a listen as well.
I want to point out, if you're listening to this and you want to hear maybe the background of your favorite brand or company, feel free to email Firebelly Marketing and let them know, because they'd love the suggestions on who they should have on, right? And I know if you look at the top of firebellymarketing.com, you could see get featured on the podcast right there. So fill that out. Or if you're listening, you're like, I'd be a great fit for the show. Go to their page and click get featured on the podcast. So that was a great one with the sipping broth. The next is, this is funny. I'm not going to swear on this, but grown ass foods is what we're talking about here, and with David. And this was also another interesting one. Again, we're talking about plant-based eating and other things. What are some things? What does this company do in some interesting points from this interview?
First of all, I think Arnelle and I agree on the fact that David is just such a vulnerable, wonderful human. And, I ended up hanging out with him in Boulder, and he wanted to provide healthy food for his kids, and without compromising on the flavor, so that they can, enjoy plant-based, vegan, gluten-free, paleo-friendly food. And so now he turned it into a business. And, the mac and cheese got the official Enzo stamp of approval.
Nice.
And
that's all that matters.
That's a damn hard standard to accomplish, let me tell you.
Yes, totally. And what's also super interesting about David is that he's all about, health and wellness as a founder. It's super inspirational to listen to, just how he takes care of himself every day and what he does to stay balanced. It was also really funny to learn, the name of his brand is Grown Ass Food. So we also talked about the challenges with having a name that has, fun adult word in it, and some of the challenges that he's had to overcome, and also some of the reasons why people are excited about it. Definitely eye-popping if you see it on the shelf.
Love it. So it sounds like he's got a bunch of different products. Duncan, what was the one that you tried? It was a mac and cheese?
Yep, mac and cheese.
Oh, cool. Love it. So check that episode out. So this one is actually functional beverages for kids with Doug, and I'd love to hear some takeaways, what you liked about this one.
I love the episode with Doug, who's the CEO of Rebellious Beverage Company, because they're producing high quality pre-brewed green tea infusions basically for kids. And so this is where you can find a delicious beverage, basically with health benefits for your children, as opposed to like drinking, something filled with stevia that's marketed by a YouTube influencer and, is basically shit. Or you can, drink soda, which again, too much sugar. So the other thing that's interesting about this episode was the fact that we actually, as always, tried the products and we love it. And it's adult-friendly products.
Yeah, it is adult friendly, but it's super interesting that he took the approach of marketing to kids and having a functional beverage for kids, which people love. He also talked a lot about, the value of e-commerce and how Rebellious Beverage Company has built its community online, and it's important in e-commerce. This is a trend that we're really seeing across the CPG industry, is people relying a little bit less on the retail and distributors and taking more control of their own sales via e-commerce. So definitely give that one a listen as well.
And I know Firebelly knows a thing or two about building community, because this is what you actually help brands do on social. So I love that. The next one is Milk Organics. And this one's nothing to hide, right? And so what were some of the interesting pieces about Milk Organics and what they do?
Milk Organics is a game changer when it comes to oat milk. And one of the reasons it's a game changer is because of its transparency. I mean, there's nothing in it. There's no stabilizers and fillers and gums and things to make it, sit on the shelf longer. It is really just, 3 ingredients. And I loved the fact that transparency is such a big deal at this company. Yeah, so I guess what I really loved about what Jason had to say about Malt's transparency is that you're not using clever marketing to get people to buy and essentially not having an amazing product. I mean, they've got a great product and they've got good marketing, but it's not relying on creativity to sell it and then not having a great product. So
yeah, totally. And just echoing what you said, integrity in his marketing, which it was a huge thing. What was also interesting is he talking about, branding and clean branding. And so even if you look at the bottle, it's white, it's clean. They have this really popular hashtag, turn it around, encouraging people to, read the back of the label on everything. So really cool guy, really, really high values.
Love it. Looks delicious. I want to buy every single one of these products. So the next one is Sober Curious, inclusive beverages, with Sierra Thomas. Talk about this one.
And the interesting thing that Arnelle and I have been seeing here is the rise of the NA space. And Sierra's a
non-alcoholic
yeah. Or zero proof or, less alcohol. All of those are a very fast emerging trend. And in the case of Sierra, the founder of Pink Cloud Beverages, she is a non-alcoholic functional health hemp beverage, and great flavors, really great flavors. She's a creative genius, and the products are really good. And I think, Arnelle, didn't this come from the fact that she didn't want to drink anymore, and she was in the advertising media business and was tired of pretending to drink and wanted to have an actual drink?
Yeah, absolutely. Sierra was super inspirational, and she was the one that got me a little bit more interested in non-alcoholic beverages. If you've tried non-alcoholic beverages before, they kind of have a stigma of not being so great, but hers was really tasty. I really enjoyed it. definitely got me re-inspired to discover more and learn more about the non-alcohol space. But yeah, she had a really interesting story. She was in the music entertainment industry under a lot of pressure to drink all the time and was really looking for something better for her health.
Love it. The next one is CPG My Way with Arshad. And I'd love for you to talk about, because I know he's had some great stories with his company.
Yeah, Amrita Brands is Arshad's company. And I really, loved that episode. He's an immigrant like myself and is self-confessedly cheap as fuck when it comes to expenses and overhead. He believes in keeping the overhead low and really having a balanced approach to life. So he actually, what an amazing story, Arnelle. He pulled out of really big retail chains because he didn't want to have that unhealthy founder life, and he wanted his employees to have balance. And so he really relies on selling via e-commerce and the community he's built.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things. He also, is somebody with high values. And like you mentioned, getting away from all the pressures of the distributors, really wanting to take his own company's growth in his own hands. And so if you're, a CPG founder who's, bootstrapping this business, that's definitely an episode to listen to.
Love it. Next one, Mark Bitterman on Human Scale. I know he talked a lot about, just like everyone, real food and ingredients. What did you like about Mark's episode?
To me, Mark actually personally changed my life after listening to that episode. In the research for that, I read his book, and he's a sommelier, which is it's like a sommelier of salt, and he's I
didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty cool.
The thing, and getting to good salt will really change the quality of your consumption of food, because good salt, you don't typically buy good salt at the grocery store. They just don't have it, so you've got to seek it out. And both of us loved his sort of salt has been consumed for thousands of years. Salt is flavor at its core, and also he didn't really believe in scaling. He believes in, having a good lifestyle and a good business, and he's not caught up with all the buzzwords. We got to scale. What's the exit strategy? Just a superhuman guy.
Yeah, and what I really loved about him is his intention on connection and community. And so, like you mentioned, he talked about salt being the foundational ingredient or spice used across the globe, no matter the culture. And so we really talked about how food and spice and salt specifically brings people together. The importance of that community.
Yep. And then the next one was Josh. And he talked about putting consumers first. I'd love for you to talk about Josh and his company and some of the takeaways.
Josh is an amazing guy. I think this is his third company in the CPG space. And I think what I took away from it is that while everybody thinks about kombucha as a healthy drink, is that, and this is like Jamba, a lot of kombuchas don't taste great, and they're filled with sugar. And so this is a sugar-free kombucha, but not only that, but, it is powdered. And so it comes out of the Carey Innovation Group in Beloit, Wisconsin, which is where it gets its name from. But it's powdered kombucha. So, you can drink kombucha on the plane. You can, drink it in the middle of the desert. You can drink it wherever you want.
As long as you have some water in the middle of the desert, you can drink it.
That's right. It's a key ingredient.
Yes. Yes, as Duncan mentioned, it is a powdered-based kombucha. So it's super interesting to hear Josh's story because he is a serial entrepreneur, meaning he has, had lots of CPG brands. And so one of the things he loved about this particular brand was that it was instant, which also means that it was easy to ship and it was easy to deliver, which was a huge thing when we're talking about scalability and profitability of his product.
I have not seen something like that before. That's really interesting. I love it. Check out Beloit Kombucha. And plus, I went to University of Wisconsin.
And it's really good, too.
It's super good. It is real. And if you use it with sparkling water, get ready. It's just a whole different experience.
So next one was Maggie on elevating superfood beans. Talk about Maggie and her company.
What we really like about Maggie is the fact that these are organic, non-GMO canned beans. Like, this is, very recyclable packaging. And it's she's a food scientist, and so you see beans as kind of an everyday thing, but she's really pushing the value, the nutrition value that beans bring to the table. You agree with that, Arnelle?
Yeah, absolutely. And she's somebody else who was really innovative and inspiring. And I know one thing that was really big for her was USA grown and packaged as well. So not only, talking about the flexibility and the health benefits of beans and the different ways you can use them, it really is a staple, part of a diet, or it should be for a healthy diet. So she really went into all of that. And why it was so important for her to, be U.S. based, and how important that is for our food and the health of our food as well.
The next one's Vanessa. And she, again, complex, sophisticated, non-alcoholic cocktails. There seems to be a theme here. Just talk about Vanessa and some of the takeaways there.
I mean, I'll tell you, one of the things that Arnelle and I have seen in this journey this year with the podcast is discovering products that are not only cool when you hear about them, but then when you actually consume those products and you get converted into a super fan. And Vanessa, the founder of Tilden Cocktails, they're ready to serve sophisticated drinks, and my favorite one is the Tandem. And Arnelle and I both ordered bottles for ourselves. And the thing that stayed with me about this and the non-alcohol zero proof space is the fact that she said people want a drink. They don't want a Shirley Temple, because that's a bullshit drink. They want a drink, non-alcoholic drink that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. And it tastes like a cocktail. So you're not going to just down it in 2 gulps. It's not kombucha. It's not Sprite. I mean, this is a drink that you're going to drink slowly, and just the finesse of the product is so superior. And I really do wish them all and all of our founders all the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing that she talked about, which I really appreciated, is some of the trends coming up in the non-alcohol space and what we might be able to expect this upcoming year. Which was super interesting. And then, of course, she talked a little bit about herself and how she maintains a work-life balance, being an entrepreneur, and also being a mom.
The next one is with Scott Froman, and he talked about getting it right. And I know there's some power of adaptogenic mushrooms in this episode, but talk about Scott and his journey.
I mean, Scott is a tireless entrepreneur, and he was determined to find an alternative that helps you to get out of the brain fog situation and helps you focus and, doesn't have a crash. And so, I mean, I've become a big consumer of Odyssey Elixir. They've got a new 222 line out too. I mean, these are drinks that rely very, very heavily on lion's mane and cordyceps and ashwagandha. These are all, different herbs and mushrooms that are going to help you kind of get super focused. And so, the problem with coffee is that, yeah, man, it's great for a minute and then the crash, right? And that's exactly the opposite with Odyssey.
Yeah, I would say Odyssey was definitely my introduction to adaptogens and lion's mane specifically. I absolutely loved his product, the Odyssey Elixir. And then the other thing that he talked about that I thought was really interesting is that he's super into his health and wellness, but specifically, meditation, sacred geometry. And so it was really interesting to hear him speak on some of those things that he was passionate about.
I mean, how healthy would we be if we had all of these products and ate them every day? From ashwagandha to adaptogenic mushrooms. This is great. There should be like a Firebelly podcast pack that people can buy, It's like,
Awesome.
pay $100, and we'll put a box together for you of the healthy product. So we'll have to tell all the guests, like, send a product, and we're going to send a podcast pack for people. We're going to charge them because it costs money for these things. But this is great. The next one is Matt. Be your weller self. Again, healthy products. Talk about Matt's journey and some of the takeaways here.
I mean, Matt was super, super humble guy, super funny, and really talked about how they overcame the obstacles in the cannabis industry, and, talked a lot about, where are we going to see, hemp-derived products and cannabis products? Are they sustainable? Is the Fed going to do anything about them? And I think the other thing that's really interesting about the product, very high quality, and unlike a lot of CBD products and THC products that you drink, actually tastes really good. And so I was just impressed with the commitment to taste.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how they put the beverage together. I know one of his big things and his big focuses was be your weller self. So his brand was not, even though, it's a CBD THC product, it really is less about that, and it's more about feeling good. It's about the functionality. Having a beverage to rest and relax to and to enjoy life with. But he was a super interesting guy. He also talked about, how he takes care of himself, and navigating the cannabis industry. So great episode.
I want to, so anyways, I would recommend people go to firebellymarketing.com/podcast to check everything out. The last thing I want to talk about is more about Firebelly and about building community and some of the tips for how brands out there can be building community in their brand, because we're finding, like you said, with a lot of these, a lot of people are going direct to consumer, not just in store. And even if they are in store, they want to drive the consumer to the store so they can increase the sales. I'm pulling up here. You can see this is some of the amazing work that you guys do, from video to photography to graphic design to, you do paid social, and this is just, people send you the product and you kind of do everything else around that. So talk about tips for building community and sales a little bit in the CPG food and beverage space.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, look, before I answer that, I'll say this, that, we were talking very early this year and about, what we do and why we do it. And it's become clear that we are helping founders and these amazing brands actually get a voice in many cases. And it's an open format, so it's all about them. And we're focusing our light and our power on them. And has really been an interesting journey to let people say what they want to say. And, they talk about their struggles, and founder life comes up a lot. And so I feel like Arnelle and I have been working in this space to give people voices. I mean, we just recently had a founder that is only in one city and is been struggling along. And it's like, she was so excited about being on a podcast with some that are huge and national, international brands. So, but coming back to your question, I mean, what we've really found is that brands in this space, food and beverage, and the CPG space, really need to do certain things on social to be effective. They need organic for credibility purposes. They need paid so that they have a funnel. They have awareness, engagement. They get conversions to their website, which drives dollars and the return on ad spend and investment. But they also need UGC so that their visual approach is rounded out between product photography, lifestyle photography, and then the user's perspective. And, in some cases, they need influencers. And a lot of the cases, they need, creative. Social is a never-ending hungry machine, and visuals drive everything. And so we have really kind of fine-tuned our approach to say, hey, you know what? You can find everything you need for social, or specific things you need for social for your food and beverage brand here for about the cost of an employee. So, employees are awesome, but they're also, they need to be supervised. They need resources. They need processes, protocols. They need supervision. and sometimes they don't work out, then, you got to decide about, are you going to keep them or fire them? So, hiring an agency, obviously we're biased, but hiring an agency really makes sense. And building community is interesting because really content is the heart of it, but it's also how you write copy. How do you focus on people's journey? Do they know the product? Do they not know the product? Do they know the problem? Are they solution aware? Are they vendor aware? Are they going to walk in and say, hey, I want a rowdy mermaid? Or are they going to say, let me see what kind of kombucha I want, right? So that's how we approach it. And a lot of times, people love the product and want to talk to other people that love the product. And so that's my long-winded answer.
Arnelle, what about you? Building community for brands?
Yeah, just kind of echoing everything that Duncan said. I would say that the primary thing you really want to focus on is definitely authenticity. Being super authentic with your customers, and like we said, using things like UGC or influencers, especially UGC, super authentic way to connect with your customers. And a lot of times that's the part that we see is missing from a lot of the brands. They can take photos of the product. Maybe you need some more, better, higher quality product photos. But the question really becomes, how do I make this more appropriate for social? How do I get more people to engage on it so that they're commenting, so that they're sharing it, so where they're laughing and they're excited about the brand, or engage with recipes. So lots of different ways to connect with your customer, but definitely being authentic is a primary goal.
I just want to thank both of you for sharing the insights and walking through some of the amazing episodes you have on the podcast. People can check out firebellymarketing.com and go to the podcast page to learn more and check out all the amazing episodes and content they have. So thank you both, and everyone check out more episodes. We'll see you on the other side.
Awesome. You've been listening to another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we normally focus on leaders and founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. Today, we flipped the switch, and Arnelle and I talked to Dr. Jeremy Wise from Rise 25. He's literally interviewed thousands of people. So thank you so much, Dr. Jeremy. And this has been another episode of the Firebelly Social Show.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.